And let's begin the broadcast with the latest updates on the Prime Minister's visit to America. He touched down in Maryland in America early this morning, a few hours back, to a rousing welcome from the Indian diaspora. The Prime Minister was seen waving and greeting the Indian diaspora who gathered there to welcome the Prime Minister. Senior officials of the Biden administration were also present to formally welcome Prime Minister Modi. India's envoy to the United States, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, was also there. Let's tell you about today's itinerary, even as we get to that footage of the Prime Minister waving and being greeted by an excited Indian diaspora there at Maryland. Today's itinerary, the Prime Minister is going to be holding a number of crucial bilateral talks. The most important is with US Vice President Kamala Harris. That's going to be happening at 12:45 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Before that, Prime Minister Modi will be meeting the top 5 CEOs in Washington, including Qualcomm CEO Cristiano E Amon, Adobe Chairman Shantanu Narayen, First Solar CEO Widmar, General Atomics CEO Vivek Lall and Blackstone CEO Stephen A Schwarzman. Now, Prime Minister's one-on-one meeting with the CEOs is expected to begin at 7:35 p.m. Again, that's Indian Standard Time. And each of these meetings will likely last an hour. After that, the Prime Minister will be holding bilateral talks with the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison. That is going to happen at 11 p.m. tonight, again, Indian Standard Time.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the United States of America after 6 months of hiatus. A massive security presence outside his hotel, that's Hotel Willard, which is where he stays normally. This time around also, he's staying at this historic hotel, and there is absolute security presence and barricading of the hotel. If you see on the right and the left-hand side, there are these cement huge block barricades to ensure that no cars really pass through this entire lane, this entire road outside of Hotel Willard. There are trucks that are parked right through the lane that touches the hotel to ensure that no cars are parked and to ensure that security is absolutely 100% foolproof. On the other side as well, you can see security presence, vehicles and barricading. So no entry into or outside of Hotel Willard unless and until they're checked by security personnel. He's not the only high delegation level official or a leader who's arrived at in the United States of America. We have the Prime Minister of Australia and the Prime Minister of Japan both here in the US, and there are going to be bilateral meetings that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold with all his counterparts, including a bilateral meeting with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. There's also an important engagement when it comes to the business community. He's going to meet top business honchos of the country to speak of post-COVID recovery, economic recovery when it comes to India and the United States of America, and how can the two countries move forward. Quad in-person meeting is a very important aspect of his visit, not just to see how to counter China and China's aggressive posturing in the Indo-Pacific, but also to ensure that there's resilient supply chains, and India is key to that entire global supply chain. After which he is going to address the United Nations General Assembly in New York. With video journalist Yogendra Singh in Washington DC, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
So the Prime Minister touched down in America, Washington DC, to a rousing welcome from a very excited Indian diaspora who had gathered there. Geeta Mohan, who's reporting for us from Washington, filed this report where she spoke to some of the people who'd gathered there.
Not many Indian community people outside the hotel like they used to be to welcome him, but some of them certainly came to see or to get a sense of what's really happening outside the hotel. Soundari, let me begin with you. How did you come here knowing that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is arriving and just to get a glimpse of the man?
Yes, kind of, yes. I'm also working with them here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you excited about the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the US?
Yes, I hope he will do something better for our country, so that's why he came here.
Yeah, he's come here. A lot of people hope he should be doing better for the country. But there are many issues, global issues, that concern India and the world. What is your take on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit, and how should he engage the world?
Well, as a student, I recognize that it's a monumental time with the issues that's going around the world, especially with Afghanistan and the tremors in the Indo-Pacific. So it's a monumental time, and it's great to be here while the Prime Minister is here.
Also, the concerns that students have with regards to being able to travel to the United States of America. US is opening up a little. Is that a concern that your friends have faced in the past?
Well, it used to be a concern, but especially now after this government has come in, things have become a lot more easier. So yeah, that's something to look forward to, certainly.
You're here. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived. How excited are you? What do you think India's position when it comes to the globe as a global power really is? And how do you see Prime Minister Narendra Modi engage the world leaders, including Quad meeting?
I'm very happy and excited that Narendra Modi ji is in our Washington DC here, and he is such a big leader. Everybody knows around the world, and he's bringing good thing for India. And I'm pretty sure all these 4 countries, when they're going to sit together, definitely they're going to talk about terrorism, they're going to talk about global warming, they're going to talk about economy stuff, and making the better relationship with all the other nations.
Well, you're working with the contingent. Aap yahan pe, you're handling them. So just how is it working for the Indian contingent and for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's, official cavalcade?
Yeah, so like I said before, this is my 3rd time, and every time it's an honor, and I look forward to this meeting especially. I mean, the changes that have taken place in Afghanistan, I'm sure it's going to be a big talk about that with President Biden. And so, yeah, it's great to, work with him.
Right. Great to work with him. A lot of Indians over here excited about Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Many of them didn't turn up over here, reach the airport, but the message is quite clear that India and the Indian Prime Minister has to put forth issues regarding regional security, especially conversations on Afghanistan and concerns with regards to terrorism. The Didi journalist Yogendra Singh in Washington DC, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
So it's past 10 p.m. in Washington, D.C. The Prime Minister's called it a day. We haven't. Geeta Mohan is joining us live from Washington, D.C. with all the latest updates. Geeta, good evening. Long night for you, but give us a sense of really what's happening there. It's 3-day visit, power-packed, jam-packed schedule for the Prime Minister. On day 1, the focus is going to be on his meeting with the U.S. Vice President. We also understand he's going to be meeting with a number of top CEOs.
Well, absolutely. He's called it a day. Not exactly, because till the very last minute we've seen officials meeting him and briefing him. There are still officials who are at work right now, because the finalization of documents that are going to be signed, or agreements that are going to be really looked at in terms of finalizing them, that work is still on, Akshata. So a lot of work still underway for officials over here in Washington, D.C. on the Indian side as also on the American side. But yes, it is going to be a packed schedule for him tomorrow. Like you rightly pointed out, the business community meetings, the bilateral meetings are going to be very important. When he meets Australian Prime Minister and Prime Minister Suga of Japan, the focus is going to be Indo-Pacific, counter-terrorism, and how both sides need to really work together to ensure peace and stability, not just in the region, but also acting on behalf of a community, of a global community that really cannot act for themselves. And that consists of a lot of countries who have been facing the wrath of China or have fallen victim to China. And that's the reason why these countries, these important nations have come together. The Quad meeting is going to take place the next day, along with the bilateral with President Biden at the White House. But the important meetings here tomorrow are really going to focus on the bilaterals and the fact that India is again bringing back the focus on post-COVID recovery, economic cooperation and resilient supply chains. How to get the investors in America to start investing in India, making India one of the hubs and key to the global supply chain.
So as Geeta told us, the Indian delegation also hasn't called it a night yet. A lot of work, backroom work that's happening right now.